of you all had guided this holiday season, so I'm not sure that can be avoided. But anyway, glad to see everyone here tonight. And for this evening's discussion, it could potentially be on the shorter side, but there were just two items that we wanted to touch upon. Um, One being any follow-up. Aaron will share if there's been any follow-up from our communication with the mayor's office regarding our proposal around events. And then we're going to talk a little bit what we know so far about some emerging information about Baker Park renovation, which is something we've been excited about for a while, right? But before we do that, I have to ask off the bat for our newest member. First, we want to welcome our newest member, Joshua. I'm not sure if we can call you Joshua to distinguish you from Josh, but why don't you introduce yourself and just share a little bit about yourself and your interest and what brings you to the commission.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Joshua's a perfect distinction. I prefer it anyway, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure between us. We'll probably just both respond every time, just in case I have a strong feeling. But yeah, I have I guess a degree from Rutgers in materials engineering. Which was fun. I worked in that for a bit, and then I started an apparel company where we do 3D printing, embroidery, and we set up e-commerce sites, which has been super fun. And then I guess during the day, I also do a little bit of cybersecurity. Denise put me on, I suppose, to this commission here. I know we're going to be working a lot with parks and gardens. I think that, if you have anything in the works of, maybe adding some, AI proposals and the such, I think that's something maybe I could help you guys out with if you have any interest at all. But I'm excited to learn a lot more about the parks and gardens in New Brunswick. I was already doing a bit of research when I was, spying, watching your last meeting. So I was looking up the different parks and trying to follow along with, what was going on. But, I'm going to rely on you, at least just for the beginning. I'm going to try to catch up to speed here and try to be helpful as soon as possible, if that's all right with you guys. That's all
Very
I got
good.
for you.
Well, welcome, Joshua.
Yeah, welcome.
And glad to
You're
have
welcome.
your
Thanks for being here.
perspective on the commission. We'll look forward to having your input and participation. I have to ask, do you get excited about the prospect of taking notes?
Do I get excited? I've never been a great note taker, to be honest. I have some of the worst handwriting in the world, and my typing speed.
Type notes.
My typing speed is 10 words per minute, which is, from what I've heard, record slow. I guess I was on that border of students that got taught to type, which just didn't, and I didn't get taught to type. So I only type with 3 fingers on each hand.
Well, I asked because we are currently looking for a secretary for the commission. Our longtime commission secretary, Nancy, stepped down at the end of her term. It's her position, or as a commissioner, not necessarily of secretary, but her slot on the commission that you're taking. So far, no one has volunteered. So just thought maybe I'd throw that out there in case that was something that might be of interest to you. In any case, we'll save that conversation for later. If no one else has been moved, we'll have to figure it out at some point. We do need a formal secretary. But in any case, and
If I
welcome,
may, I think Denise had a good idea, to be honest.
with the AI transcription.
So yeah, Otter, she recommended to me, I think last year, and I've used it for a lot of meetings, and it seems to work really, really well at putting together, because it transcribes everything.
So get every word. My question with Otter is, well, if we would need, and I looked into it because for my organization as well, we would need the enterprise level account because the free one only transcribes 30 minutes in any given meeting.
It looks like the business one is only 4 hours per meeting.
Right. Yeah, business one perhaps. So we would need someone with an account to lend it to us, or ask the city to, if the city could. It's not a big cost, but there's a cost associated with it. Denise, you were raising your hand.
You're muted.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I have a professional plan. I think I have 6,000 minutes a month. So I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to record it.
Okay. So,
Very good.
so that's great. So thank you, Denise. So we can use that. We still need someone, even with that makes the job easier. And I've seen how AutoWorks does a good job of transcribing, and it attempts in its best AI fashion to provide short summaries of portions of the meeting. That needs human finessing to capture context. I suppose we could. I don't know that we want to submit minutes that are actual full transcriptions of meetings. I don't know that the city wants that as its official record. That might be overkill. But it does help. It means someone doesn't necessarily have to take notes during the meeting, but we still would need a designated secretary to at least look at that and kind of use it as a reference point to provide some summarized minutes.
Charles, I suggested this after I suggested after the last meeting, or at the last meeting, that you and I could work. I did the transcription of the last meeting, and I meant to work with Nancy and you to just see how well it did. Why don't we try that for this meeting and then circle back with everybody? Between us, we can finish.
Okay.
This month, if that works.
Josh.
Hello,
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Hey, Sal.
Hey, Sal.
Hi, Sal.
Hello. Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year,
Thanks.
Sal.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New
So-
Year.
If Denise is able to get the transcriptions, we could also, if you don't like maybe the quality of the minutes, it could also work with you guys to maybe put together a more advanced AI tool that would do perhaps a significantly better job, because we could probably feed it all the past minutes, so it's privy to the format and the style required, and that we may be able to use that to very quickly and efficiently create better minutes automatically. If you guys don't like the auto-generated ones.
I'm willing to try whatever. We can do a little trial and error. So Denise, if you can capture the transcription again this meeting, and then maybe we'll circle back, you, me, and Joshua, to see the best way to capture. We'll need at the subsequent meeting in February, we should be prepared to submit and approve both December. I'm sorry, just January minutes, because we do have December's minutes from Nancy. But for this first one. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your patience as we started off on some logistical business. But I just want to remark before we get into the meat of things, I believe this is the first time we've had a full commission in attendance, at least since the start of my tenure as chair. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you for being here. Glad we're all here.
Starting 2024 off right.
That's right. That's right. Starting off on a good
Yes.
foot. So let's then, speaking of minutes, we do need to approve December's minutes, which Nancy did share. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look at those. Were there any questions, comments, or edits on the December minutes?
No.
Okay. If there were no comments, questions, or edits, we'll submit them as for vote as submitted by Nancy. Can I have a motion and a second for the December minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the December minutes, say
Aye.
yes. Yes.
Aye.
Yep.
Any nays? There would be a couple abstentions, I think, for those who weren't there last in December, which I think would be Sal, Susan, and Joshua, because he wasn't yet a part of the commission. Okay. So with the minutes approved, we can get into our first item of discussion. And this is still fresh, and we're still developing. That, as you all know, for some time, a number of years in our prioritization and evaluation of parks, we've been saying for some time that Baker Park would be hopefully one of the next in line for improvements, right? And that was something we reiterated in our most recent communications with the city and the mayor's office a couple months back. And that now appears to be there's some progress on that front. I know that Sal and his team have been doing a little initial work, which we'll ask him to share about in a minute. But Susan, on behalf of the city, has also been working on some proposals to help move that forward. So I know it's still new and not finalized yet, Susan, but if you can share anything with us about what's in development.
So a couple weeks ago, I was made aware of two opportunities that New Brunswick qualifies for. One is the park development funding through Green Acres, DEP, and one is an urban parks grant. Together, they could essentially bring in $1.9 million if we are chosen to upgrade and restyle a park that needs it. So of course, Baker Park has been at the top of that list for a long time. So we're thinking about doing this at Baker Park. We have a very short window to application. So our application will be done by February. The awards will be made in June. And if we are awarded, then the work would be done this year. So with that said, that's all in progress. There will be an online survey at some point and a public hearing, and we'll discuss how to put that together after I have another meeting tomorrow about it. So I don't want to go into detail about that. So I'm going to turn it over to Sal and see what Sal has to tell us about the design of the general design of the park. You're muted, Sal.
We're as you can see, we're in the process of removing the old tennis court. We're 3/4 of the way there now. Based on the meeting that we had, Susan and myself and Brandon, one of the stipulations of the grant is that we can't start the work until the grant is approved. So that creates a problem. First of all, we can't finish right now. The ground's too soft. We can't get trucks in there. We're just going to run up the place and make a mess. I have maybe 2 dumpsters left to remove the existing asphalt. Then we're going to have to decide whether, we'll fill the hole in, the area in with topsoil and seed coming this spring, or do we wait until the grant to continue with the renovations? I don't know, with us moving forward, how it's going to affect, acquiring the grant.
So as I said, that this is in discussions. If it happens, it'll happen quickly. And we have a meeting tomorrow about it. So I think that's about all I can share right now.
Okay.
Susan, is it fair to,
Go ahead.
because I know
Go
at
ahead.
some point there was like a little bit of correspondence about the commission running the public meeting?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Okay.
I'll
Alright,
have that information tomorrow.
okay. We'll have to decide it though before the February meeting though, so this will all be done
Absolutely.
over email, correct?
Absolutely, because the application has to be in by February 7th.
Yeah, I knew it was tight.
Yeah.
As far as design goes, that'll pretty much be dependent on, how much money we can get. As of right now, the only thing that's really in the works as far as any improvements would be the new playground equipment. At that point, we can, work from there. We can expand that area, the playground area, especially since we're removing the tennis court. We're going to be removing the baseball field, making it into a soccer field. We've had more of a demand for soccer. We have enough baseball fields in all our parks. We haven't used that baseball field in quite some time, but I know we can get a lot of use, a soccer field in that particular park. So that's one of the things we want to do. Another thing we discussed was Suzanne and Brandon was a possibility of putting a dog park in the area where the current stone parking lot is. That area there's really not much we can do. It's a low drainage area for water to drain, so it's not like we can pave it or do anything. But we can throw some, stone down or level it up a little bit, put some grass and fence it in for for a dog park. And then basically it's just a matter of beautifying the existing landscape, mulching, doing some plantings underneath the trees with some native plantings, grouping them into beds, and just making maybe a better picnic area for people to down and enjoy lunch or weekend or whatever. And then the other thing we discussed was to be able to make that park more visible and more attractive, which will require a lot more money. And that's to bring the entrance. What's that? Is that Ellis Street, Susan? What street is that? What the entrance?
That's May Street. So the May Street
Street.
entrance to that park is the main entrance.
Right.
That what looks like the main entrance at Ellen Street is really not the main entrance, but it is the prettier entrance. So Sal had some wonderful ideas.
Well, I thought about bringing, using the same concept we have at Boyd Park. When you go down Paul Robeson Boulevard and you hit 18, you see the columns with the arbor up on top that says Boyd Park. Well, creating that type of, something like that over at the Remsen Avenue entrance, bringing it out closer to the entrance where people can actually see there's a park there, with two nice sized columns on both sides of the curbs, and putting a nice arbor or some type of signage up on top, like we have over at Boyd Park, to kind of identify the park, so to speak. But again, it all depends on what type of money we can get. We could be creative with well.
I think another question that came to mind was, something that's been a hit at some of the other park renovations, is a splash pad, right? And whether that might be something that could be included.
That was
in
also brought up.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was brought. Yes,
Mhm.
we could have a spot for a spray pad there.
And an entrance into the townhomes too, I think we were talking about.
Correct, and then doing something where there's a separation of fence wooden fence from the townhouses to the park, considering, eliminating that fence altogether and putting like an estate fence, which is the same as same type of fence we used at War Monument, a War Memorial, I should say. So it kind of opens it up, to the community at or what is that, Casa de Lusa, or whatever that is, the condos
Would
there.
it be Casa de Lusa?
Yeah, is that what that is? I'm not sure.
It's
Is
the
that
one
what-
that faces Remsen. Is it the one that faces Remsen?
It's the one
Like
that did
Fulton and Lawrence?
that's adjacent
Fulton
to the
Court.
park. That Casa de Lusa? I'm not sure.
That's Casa de Lusa on,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So, kind of open it up and dress it up. It'll look nicer. It'll look, won't look as closed in and,
It'll might be much more inviting, and it'll provide lots of recreation on different levels for different
That's right.
purposes. But I think that the entrance, the idea that Sal had for the entrance on May Street is spectacular.
So the columns would actually be like on Remsen.
Bringing it right out to the street.
That's awesome because it's like a weird dead end to that parking lot now.
Yeah,
What's that?
it's terrible.
No, I said that's like I never knew that was the real entrance. I've
Exactly.
only ever entered it.
A lot of people
Like
don't know the
there are a
park
few
is
times
there.
I've only ever entered it from Ellen Street.
A lot of people don't know that's the entrance to the park.
I don't know. It was like,
It looks different now since we take
it's
the
very cold.
yeah, it
Make
looks
you more
different now, taking the fence down. But try to picture, Llewellyn and Edgeworth Place on Livingston Avenue. They have the columns at the end of the blocks. Picture something like that.
Well, those columns aren't there anymore. They're down on Joyce Kilmer.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna
they're
say
falling apart.
great with
Yeah,
that.
they did take them down. Go down and just come. Picture those columns, 10 to 12 foot high, with an arch up on top.
Yeah.
No, I pictured. I know the one exactly you're talking about that leads from Paul Robeson to Boyd. It's very pretty. I've always liked it.
That would beautify that section there.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I also like the entrance from the townhomes because those are the people that you want to use it. The people that live right there who are going to walk to it.
Right. Well, traditionally that's always been blocked off, and the people from the, I
My
guess,
question is why.
I'm sorry.
My question is why.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Why?
The fence has been taken down by the residents of the park that cut through and walk their dogs, which is, listen, I'm with you on that. I don't know why they were blocked. I haven't put the fence back up, sections of fence. We actually removed them so nobody, nails them back up again. But I think opening up a section or two sections along that fence line, and again getting rid of the wooden stockade fence and putting a nice estate fence is a little more inviting and opens up that whole area.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
Have you ever seen, I know I'm going to go off topic a little bit. Have you ever seen like, they're called desire paths. It's in vacant lots where people like cut a path from like one sidewalk to the other because they want it. No. Yes.
Yes.
It's basically what the people there have created as a desire path by taking down the fence because they want to walk their dogs there.
And I've been in that park when I used to live over on that side of town. I've been in that park and seen kids from the townhomes like jumping over it, right? It seems like, well, those are the kids you want to feel like they don't have to like,
Right.
trespass.
Yeah.
They can just walk into their neighborhood park, right? So I think that would be that, and the entrances on the Remsen Ave side are just that in itself, independent of the other improvements that could happen, would be a really positive thing.
I had a question. Regardless of getting this grant, Sal, I know that we talked about purchasing playground equipment for different parks. With the playground equipment, has it been purchased? Would it still be going in regardless of the grant?
Well, yeah,
Or do
the grant is under CDBG. That's something different.
Okay, so the playground equipment would still come from there?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the grant money that Susan is trying to get.
Right. So we wouldn't even put that in part of the plan
Right,
because
no,
it would
that's
already be ordered
Okay,
through.
so it's already going to be funded. Okay, Interesting.
once the CDBG money, once the Dan figures out, how the labor is going to work and all that, and then, and we're able to get the equipment, that's going to go, we're going to go through with that.
Okay.
Regardless,
Just wondered.
So we could be looking at potentially sort of, if everything goes as hoped, sort of a two-phase, set of improvements. If the playground proceeds first, well, really three. You already started some work, Sal, right? But then the playground being kind of the first piece, because it sounded like, last we heard in December from Dan on that, everything was hopefully on track to be approved and get started moving in the spring. And then if this additional funding was approved, then there would be hopefully then second phase later in the year with this broader set of improvements. That would be very exciting.
I've asked Alex to plan. Hopefully by next month's meeting, we'll have a plan. Some ideas of what I plan on doing park, the improvements, and work from there. We'll do a design of the area where the park will be, where the whole state park's going to be, what it's going to look like without the baseball field. Show the areas of the picnic areas and the playground area. We'll show that all on the plan. Of course, things change as we go along, and also I'll do something with front entrance over by Ellen Street. Ellen, right, or Lorette? I can't always get those two mixed up. It's that one side street, whichever. I think it's Ellen Street. And we'll do something, some type of design, a preliminary design, so you guys can get an idea of what we want to do.
Now, in terms of space, like size or footprint of the dog park, how would it compare to the Boyd Park dog park?
It's going to be, if we do that whole back section, and we use up some of the side or property line that backs up to the cemetery. I don't know if you quite follow me. It's kind of like an L shape.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not going to be a big dog park. How's it can compare? It's going to be probably smaller than that. It'll be a little, it's a little place where people just take their dogs to kind of, do the little trick things and, little exercise loops and things like that. And just similar to what we have over at Boyd Park. But I would have to, kind of like lay it out and see how much space we can get. I mean, if it's going to be too small where we can't get to, at least, the usable type two sections
Mhm.
for large dogs and for small dogs, then, I don't know if it's worth to just do one. I don't think we can, right? I don't think we can just do one dog park for large and small dogs. I think you have to have them for both, right?
I don't know.
Usually
that
you
rule.
have
Probably
both.
do have to do both, yeah.
Off leash, it could be dangerous
Right.
with different sizes, even if
Absolutely.
they're just playing.
Right. I have to, we have to lay it out. I mean, I know I have some room there, but we have to lay it out and get the square footage and see what we have. And then, we could make a better assessment with that.
So we'll have a concept plan in place before February 7th, because I would have to submit that with the application. But the construction plans and drawings, they're all part of the construction bid package, which we don't need until much later.
Right.
Susan, in terms of the tight time frame, is there anything that you can recommend that we start talking about? Like, would this survey be helpful regardless of whether we use it or apply for the grant, or what it needs to include? I'm concerned about how we'll get that done in a efficient way if it's due February 2nd. I mean, we're talking about a month.
I share your
So-
concern.
Is there a way that we could do something?
We can't do
and use
anything
it as a
until
point of information?
we can't do anything until I have a meeting tomorrow with the city administrator and the mayor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Enough
So I
said.
And then I'll know more about how we're to proceed with an online survey or how to engage the public about a public hearing. So, all of those things will be discussed tomorrow.
I think one thing I would just say is I think we should all view ourselves as part of that, regardless of any formal role. I think, being on the kind of ground level, right? And having emphasized Baker Park is a priority park for improvements for some years, right? Obviously, we want to make sure that we get the help get the word out, and I think get people excited, because I think people are going to be enthusiastic who live in the area about possible improvements, and so obviously as soon as Susan has some more clarity on the mechanism, she'll share that with us, and we'll help push it out, right? And
Charles,
and gather that input.
excuse me, I was wondering, if we had an online survey, it would be nice to have, and I don't know if it's feasible with the weather the way it is, but it would be nice to have somebody at the park on a Saturday morning asking questions of the people who use the park now. What are the things that they would like to see there, or the things that they use most often? So I think that would be really valuable.
Absolutely.
Is
And I
there a
can-
school near there or another organization? I don't know
No.
what I was at the park when we looked at the playground equipment. I don't remember what's nearby.
mostly just residential. It's the
It's all
two.
residential. It's
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all residential. It's kind of far for a school. Like the closest schools are on Livingston.
Well, the
Direct-
closest school is Livingston School. It's a grammar school, and it's about 9 blocks away. And it
Yeah.
doesn't face Livingston, it faces Sanford Street.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the
Or
two.
Delavan, I'm sorry, Delavan Street.
It's the two condominium developments over there, Renaissance Square and Fulton Court, and then just all the homes along Remsen, on the other side of Remsen, those adjacent blocks. It's really
Yeah.
everything that's kind of immediately within a 3 or 4 block radius is residential, right?
It's like
Um,
Loretto, Ellen, May.
And lots of children and lots of families and lots of dogs. So, these people are, I mean, that's my neighborhood. I live here. So,
What's is it too far away, that church on the corner of Remsen and Sanford?
St. Mary's.
Is that too far for the park?
That's right. That's by Livingston School.
Okay.
It's
that
right
might
next to
be
Livingston School.
worth
Because that's the only one I can think of in that whole
A
neighborhood.
church, yeah, that's the only church nearby.
No, but I'm just saying that that's
St.
like,
Mary's apartments are there too, so we have a big senior community there as well.
oh, we should think about senior amenities for the.
Yeah, we really should.
Yeah, we should. They're not that far. They are St. Mary's. Yeah. This is me
Is it
knowing all the streets and
feasible?
roads.
I was trying to think of a way that we could get to a large group of people in that area. If there was like a school and we could ask the school if they would send something home, that would have to be coordinated, or maybe the church could announce something if we have to do it quickly. Because collecting the information is one thing, but analyzing the information and aggregating it and summarizing it for you, if we got a good response, would take a little bit time.
I
So
think you'll get
we're gonna
I
have
think
to
you'll
move
get a great response.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think so
Can
I know
too.
Josh.
we could utilize-
Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm assuming, making an assumption based on I'm looking at it on the map based on the way the housing is set up with you, that at least one of those places would be an HOA, that we could reach out to a central figure and ask for a, distribution list, or at least something that we could get a significant amount of impact and response from at least some of those folks whether it's an HOA or if it's,
Yeah.
I assume it's not like there's not like an
Yeah.
office there. But the
There's
people
no
would all-
office at either one. Sorry, I know
Okay.
both because they're trash and recycling. Fulton Condos is private
it.
and they're really hard to get in contact with, but Renaissance Station or Square, I call it Renaissance Station. I know the person who's on the association's board. He's the treasurer. He works at Unity Square.
Okay.
So I can connect
Okay.
us with him to get
Does
there.
anybody
I don't know about
know-
Casa de Lusa.
Charles, because you lived in the neighborhood too, you might know. If you came out of the St. Mary's Senior Apartments and you walked down to the park, are there sidewalks all the way down on that side of Remsen Avenue?
There is one short stretch, if I'm remembering correctly, that does not. It's
Yeah, I
like
don't
an
think it goes
awkward,
the way.
an awkward.
What's there
block.
instead of a sidewalk?
Just grass, I think. Yeah, I think it may just be even like one short block. That's like after the last exit entrance from Renaissance Station. There's a short. I think it's not long. I mean, when I walked from Renaissance Station, we walked along that side, right? So it doesn't prohibit, you getting there. Yeah.
I can.
Are we calling Renaissance Station the one on the corner of Remsen and
Sanford.
Yeah, so there's
Sanford,
Fulton.
okay.
Yeah, there's Fulton Square. That's like the first one that goes to Remsen. It like faces Remsen as well as Paul Robeson. It empties out on the cemetery. Then there's Casa de Luso, which is the one that like has like Fulton and Lawrence. That's the one that empties on Remsen. There's like two entrances on Remsen. There's like a weird barrier, which I'm always annoyed at, but I understand why it exists, that separates Renaissance and Casa de Lusa. And then Renaissance Station has an opening on Sanford Street, as well as a few other streets in the back that empty out onto Paul Robeson. It's like Ward and something else. I know all of New Brunswick now. Ask me anything.
All the ins and outs.
I drove around 3 hours today looking at Mist Recycling, so I'm fully versed in the nooks and crannies of New Brunswick.
Could I ask a quick question? I know, Susan, you already mentioned this, but what were the names of the grants that you said were either potential or that you're working with? I know you said Green
One
Acres.
is the Green Acres Park Development Fund, and one is the Urban Parks Grant.
Okay.
Park Development Funding is known to bring in about 1.4 million, and Urban Parks is $500,000.
What's the organization? Is the Urban Parks Grant coming through?
Green Acres.
Oh, they're both Green Acres. Okay.
They're both, and one application for both funding sources.
Wow.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like,
Okay, thank you.
it's a no-brainer.
And we're allowed to apply for both?
Absolutely.
Cool.
They called me.
Going back to the sidewalk question, would that be something that we would like be able to include as the park? Okay, that's just food for thought.
I doubt it.
I know.
If there's no sidewalk there now in that one little block, we need to find out why there's no sidewalk there. Maybe.
I have a strange feeling that it's literally the entrance to Fulton Square, but I could be wrong.
Well, I would say that the park improvements need to be inside the park.
No. I get that. I just a question. Just a question.
What do you think, Sal?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see where that grass area is. I always thought there was sidewalks along both sides of Remsen Avenue.
I'll check it out tomorrow if we're, by car or rowboat, whichever.
The first thing I'm gonna do, because I it's kind of now I'm thinking, I was like, where's there just a grass area with no sidewalk?
We have enough ideas for the park. We're not going to put in a sidewalk somewhere else. That's if we really get this kind of money, let's focus on the park and making it the best park
Well, I mean, if
for
it needs sidewalks, it's,
for the
you know, if it's
community.
gonna be a make or break deal for something. I mean, I'm sure Tom Valenti could, you know, put it into one of his, added it to one of his projects he's got going on. But um, I don't know. Like I said, I'm drawing a blank as to where that section is. Is that in front of those houses next to the that tech that
I feel like
what is
we're
that?
going into the weeds now, guys. I'm gonna be that person.
Something.
If I
Sorry,
could just
but
say
I
though,
just go that way.
if I could just say, the park, I know you mentioned the senior citizen complex. That's, I will say on the bus, the 811 bus that goes from New Brunswick to North Brunswick, they pick up at the senior citizen, and that's the last stop until you get to North Brunswick, shop, somewhere at the laundromat on North Brunswick. Anyway, what I would say is there's a fair amount of seniors that get on the bus. Therefore, a sidewalk would be essential for them actually to get to the park, should we want them to use it. The bus bypasses that whole area. So they can't even take the bus from the senior complex to the park because it
Why couldn't the
bypasses
bus
the
stop
park.
at the park?
Well, call New Jersey Transit, Susan, and why don't you get a stop there then?
Okay.
I'm just saying, currently, New Jersey Transit stops at the complex, picks them up,
Right.
and then the next stop is on the North Brunswick laundromat, where I don't know exact Georgia Street or
Road,
something.
George's Road
Yeah,
and
it does not
and
stop
National Street.
between the complex and any other place. So if you wanted the seniors to go, they really do not have a good method to get there in terms of walking nor mass transit. And they do utilize the 811 quite a bit. And it's only a Monday through Friday bus too. So they really do not have the option to walk. Otherwise you're going, you know, on the main street.
That kind of information could actually allow the sidewalks to be included in the grant. If it has justification for use of the other improvements and safety for a special population, that's actually usually allowed kind of in the footprint of a project. So you'll have to see if they let you do that.
No.
I think
I
that's
just-
a
I
really
just
good
wanted
We
to-
point.
would probably appeal to the city to put that in and not use grant money for it.
I also just want to say I just went on the Google Street View all along, and I may
I'm
have
doing
made
it
that,
right now too, Charles.
Me
I
too.
may have made that up.
I was like,
You may have planted the thought in my head that made me think of something else, Susan. I think I was thinking of within Renaissance Station, but along Remsen Ave itself, there is sidewalk
All
from
right. End of
Baker Park.
conversation.
Just
That's
saying.
what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So not that it wouldn't be great to have a bus stop by the park too, but let's
Yeah.
bite off what we can chew at the moment.
First things
Mhm.
first.
Yeah,
Let's make a
yeah.
park first.
Yeah. So I think just I want to circle back and tie a little bow on kind of potential outreach plans. So I'll personally commit when we have some more information about how, you know, the community input, every public meeting and survey will proceed. I can commit to I know someone, a resident, and very active um, senior leader in St. Mary's apartment who works with New Brunswick Tomorrow already, and she'd be very happy, I'm sure, to help get the word out at the senior apartment. I can reach out to the family and community engagement office at the schools. It's a little funny, even though there's not like a school physically super close. Obviously, children from that neighborhood have to go to a designated school. The attendance boundaries, the actually three, the attendance boundaries both for Redshaw, Livingston, and Robeson, all like parts of it are within sort of the radius of Baker Park. So all reach out when we have information ready to share and see if that family and community engagement department can help us get information to the families of those 3 schools. And then I think Josh or Aaron, through your connection on the Renaissance Station HOA, and we can try. I've been meaning to try and get a connection for St. Mary's Church as well. If anyone else doesn't have one, I'm happy to look into that. But I think that's a good place to start. And I like your suggestion too, Susan, of having someone out there. If there's a nice Saturday anytime, and we can, try and use some of our Brunswick Tomorrow outreach mechanisms to help put the word out locally as well. But all of us can obviously help communicate that to our networks.
Okay.
Well, good. That's exciting stuff. Any last questions on Baker Park before we move on?
Yeah, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, hi. With the seniors, I think they really like reading matter, physical paper that they can hold in their hand and read. So flyers to those residents would be required, I think.
That's a good point.
Good point.
Good
Absolutely.
point.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to like make a connection with that, like that building. You know what I mean? I think they have, I don't know what type of trash they have right now. I need to ask tomorrow if it's private or city. I'm not bilingual, but like I would love to be able to connect with them, like bring physical surveys there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When we're ready
Lisa
to share
Chulis
about
at
Baker
the
Park,
Senior Resource Center can be very helpful to you in that, Erin.
I do workshop at the New Brunswick Senior Center, so I could just
Mhm.
use their connections. Sure.
Hey, Charles. I had a quick question about surveys. I haven't been part of this process in the past, but in terms of doing the survey collection, how is that usually done? Via, Google, like Google surveys, or like Clara mentioned, the paper copies. How is that typically approached?
so I know I can just say that when I think the last time the city collected a park related input survey, that was for Nielsen Street, right?
That's right. Mhm.
And I forget the exact platform, but it was a pretty
Survey Monkey. It was Survey
Survey
Monkey.
pretty simple online survey, short questionnaire, pretty user friendly. And I think, I don't remember the exact number, but I know that it generated quite a good amount of responses. So I assume that would be the primary mechanism again. I agree that for the senior population, it can be helpful to have paper surveys. The difficulty there is then they still have to be physically collected and input
Right.
into.
Right.
So I have to think about if there's a workaround there, or I mean, kind of what I was thinking is, connecting with a couple of key people within the building, they can help uh, kind of, they can walk around to some of their neighbors they know with an iPad, right?
Do they have a recreation room or some kind of a social room where they gather in that building?
Mhm. Yep.
I think they have, yeah, some common areas.
Susan, when does this all have to be in by?
February 7th.
Too soon. What?
I was gonna say, maybe, signage or placards or something in front of the park, for the park users, instructing them to, get a website that they can reply to but I don't know if you're gonna get the response that you probably need in that short period of time. But the
Yeah,
simple
Susan.
signage at the park, with the residents of the area that mostly use the park, they would be the ones that you'd want to hear from. you know,
Mhm.
some type of, again, signage on both entrances to the park, advising people of, you know, what they think the park should be used for and what can we do to improve it.
I know, but a sign, what will a sign do? Where are they gonna fill?
Well, the
they
sign
have
will
to-
You do it with the QR code, Susan.
You are correct.
Ah,
like a
We used to
yard
do, we
sign.
did it for the pollinator program. We had like the sign up on a QR code on a flyer outside the pollinator garden in Bucolic Park. You could
Yeah,
even put it
we-
on the telephone poles, like on Remsen, on
Yeah,
all
but
the
we
how do you
sites.
get the
this-
QR? How do you get the QR code? Does that cost money?
If you give me the, if
No.
you give me Susan, I can generate it for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
there, it's easy. We
It's
can
easy. There's
customize
like
it
a
with a little
generator
tree.
on the computer.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't remember what website. I've done it before for different things.
okay.
This is an aside, but Aaron, I'm very surprised and shocked that someone in Public Works would suggest posting flyers on telephone poles.
Don't tell the roads guys.
We'll tag them
If
and
it's for
take them
city
down.
purposes, I feel like the mayor's gonna let it slide. We just don't like the 1-800 junk cars ones, okay?
No.
And the fact that they've been putting them up like 12 feet high is just cruel.
Really?
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but yeah. I never
Wow.
thought about that, Charles.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So hopefully, Susan, after your meeting tomorrow in this conversation, we'll have some updates that
Yeah.
we can act
And then,
upon. But,
we're off to the races after that.
yep, this is an exciting way to start the year, though.
It is. God bless Baker Park.
Yeah.
Put
Sal,
that on
I'm
the
going
flyer.
to take advantage of your presence tonight. And obviously, we're in winter season, so there's not a lot of active projects, but just curious if outside of Baker Park, what we just talked about, if there's any other kind of in-house improvements that you already have planned and anticipated for, you know, when the weather warms a little bit in the spring. I mean, not just like regular maintenance and landscaping stuff, but any particular projects already queued up. There, Sal?
I could.
I'm here. I don't know. I just pressed something. I was trying to press the mic. And do you see me? I have the camera.
we
We
can
can't
hear
see
you.
you, but we can hear you.
So if you just talk, that's fine.
There I am. Yeah, I wasn't turning you on. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on, Charles, that just go under the radar. I still like to get that section of Boyd Park finished over by the dog park. We got stone delivered and we got mulch. We just haven't had the opportunity to finish that whole stretch there from the parking lot into the dog park path areas. So that's ongoing, as well as we're going to be doing some plantings on both sides of the tunnel by Albany Street Bridge. I'd like to get that both walls painted inside the old police headquarters side and the north and bound side, let's just say. I'd like to get those walls painted and then get the areas cleaned up along the fence. Get all that graffiti removed along that back area, along the tunnels. And just plantings, just make that both sides of that tunnel a little more pleasing. You know, there's a lot of people that are interested in using it as a bike path from Bugler Park to, you know, go to Boyd Park, but a lot of them are just intimidated. I mean, I was out there the
Scary.
other day with the camera.
Don't do it by
guys.
yourself. I've done it multiple times. Don't do it.
Yeah, it could be intimidating. I mean, there's a lot of homeless people there,
Yes.
and a lot of drug use. So we're coming up with a plan of how to, you know, we're getting cameras there, just so that's a plus. We're going to get cameras on under the tunnel, and on both ends of it. So hopefully that'll clean up a lot of the mess that's there now. But that's something that's going to be ongoing. We're going to start with the cleanup in the spring, and then Aaron, we spoke about that, about getting the volunteers in there.
Yeah, so as part of that, like we're gonna talk about it in the proposal, Sal, but I'm talking
Right.
about like a citywide actually like cleanup with multiple locations, and I'd like to make one of the locations Boyd Park and like do that mural painting as like one of the beautification projects.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
So-
Sal, I don't necessarily think this is for you, but do you recall when we were proposing the dog park some time ago and we were talking about, I think I was talking about the entrance. So coming from Nielsen Street and going, it's so you're leaving Nielsen Street, right? And you're going over the bridge or the walkway to get to Boyd Park. One of the feedback that I've gotten from neighbors is, you know, going from New Brunswick to Highland Park, you have that Jersey barrier or whatever you want to call it across the bridge.
Right.
We talked about it, I think, and maybe the city had some thoughts about it. I don't know if it's city and or state, but I do know people do feel a little bit uneasy crossing that path with their dogs and or children. I don't know if it's something we can revisit. I can't recall if you were ever in those conversations, but I do know that we did bring it up and there was feedback as to what and why we could or could not put something such as a Jersey barrier along that path to actually get to the park to then cross the traffic light. Does
I'm
anyone,
not quite, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure. Follow you. Where are you talking about the exit ramp from 18 to Albany Street heading to Highland Park? Are you
no,
talking section?
no, go down. So what is that next street from my house? I don't even know.
Paul Robeson.
Oh, Nielsen? No, that's Nielsen.
That's
Yeah,
Paul,
so
Paul,
Nielsen Street. Yeah, Robeson, yeah.
Paul Robeson Boulevard.
So you're gonna go, right, so you're going to the park now, right?
That's the main entrance to the park. That's correct. Where the
Correct,
stairs.
right.
Right.
And so we talked about at one time, and I don't know who from the city was involved in those conversations, but if we were to promote more activity and pedestrian being, not driving, pedestrian foot activity, that, you know, people do want a bit more security crossing that path. And one of the things that got brought up were the Jersey barriers. The Jersey barriers are those large cement structures that would provide some form of safety versus bollards all along the pathway. I do know that people have said to me within the immediate downtown area that while they utilize the park and utilize the dog park, they would like to have a bit more sense of security when crossing from Nielsen Street to Boyd Park.
On Paul
On
Robeson.
correct.
You mean Paul Robeson to Boyd Park? There's no
Yes.
connection. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
So-
there is a crosswalk there with the traffic light. So I don't know, how are you trying to? I don't know where your Jersey barriers would go. I mean,
Right
you
along
talking
the street,
curbside?
all along the sidewalk.
I don't
Oh.
know if that's a county or if that's a state road right there.
Well, that's where
how
I
do you
think the
know?
hangup was, Aaron. I think exactly what you're saying. I think maybe someone said it was a state, and I don't
But I
know
think-
how.
I think all the entrances and exits to Route 18 are state. There's always
Yeah.
an argument between the city, I don't know if it's the county. It's an argument between the county and the city about Albany Street on the other end
Mhm.
of Boyd Park, on the other end of Nielsen. So I don't know if there's a similar. I can ask the DPW because we probably know.
Yeah, if you
Do you
wouldn't
know?
mind.
Yeah.
Because that's the feedback that I've gotten is, we like it, but, the cars are moving quite quickly. You have a dog or two, some people have carriages, and it is a little bit unsettling.
Are you talking about the overpass on Paul Robeson?
The
when you
whole,
walk
yeah,
along
the
Paul Robeson?
whole journey from Nielsen
Um,
Street on Paul Robeson to Boyd Park. the whole foot journey.
Having like a Jersey barrier, I don't know how that's
Well,
gonna
just
work.
like when you go through Highland Park, right? And you're on the bridge,
Right, and you have barriers on both sides of you.
right? You feel safe crossing the bridge.
No, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
the
So,
same concept.
but you're talking exactly. So what I'm saying is along Paul Robeson, that
Yeah.
track of that one block, say from what's that? Um, I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, from with the overpass going over Route 18, right? Walking towards Boyd Park, that section there, there's fencing where the overpass is existing, correct?
No, where there's no fencing, it's just a sidewalk. And then the fencing is to the right. You're right, there is fencing, but it's
Right,
to the right-hand side if you're walking.
Right, there's if you're walking on the one side of the sidewalk, there's fencing to the one side.
Yes,
So
yes,
you would want a fencing along the curbside for protection. In other words, to give
Right.
you some type of right. Okay, so you would on
Yes.
both sides of the street along the curb sides.
yes,
Right, because you already have fencing there.
yes,
No, on the one. Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah. So that's the feedback that I've gotten from locally in terms of just commuting by foot.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, I could see where people will feel a little more secure with that, you know?
Yeah. And I can say for myself too, it's not a, people
Would
go
that
quite quick.
consider a park issue, or is that like something for an engineering department to come up with some type of a plan to get that done?
I'm just purely raising it, but that's the question.
No.
No, yeah, and that's what I just offered to do, Sal, is that tomorrow when I'm in the office, I will ask Victor, our superintendent, who is aware of all things, and I can ask him if it's a state or I think Paul Robeson might be a county road.
I think Paul
so.
Robeson is a county road.
I can't remember. I know Albany is. I know Easton is. I know
It's a
parts of
county
French
road,
Street
Paul Robeson,
are.
for sure.
I know parts of Jersey Ave are county. So I don't know if it's like a conversation with the county, a conversation with the state. Something reminds me that the state exits, like the over ramp passes, are all the state because they lead onto a state highway as Route 18. But
see.
I can get more clarification when I'm back in the office. I'm not calling him now.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not a walk down the hall. It's not that big of a deal.
And the other thing, do you think we can get bike racks installed over there? Just while people are at the park, specifically within the dog park area?
Sure, we can get more bike. I think we have bike racks there now, but we can get more.
Oh, okay, I didn't see them last time. Sorry. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Sal. Was there any other upcoming projects you wanted to mention?
No, we just have like I said, there's a lot of ongoing projects that we got going on under the radar that we're still working on benches and picnic tables and all those kinds of things, and that's just going to be ongoing. Graffiti removal, painting. We're going to be working on the grounds. As soon as the spring comes around, some of these park areas of parks where grass isn't growing, we're going to be, taking care of those areas and making sure the grass starts to grow. So these are kinds of things that are just ongoing.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for you and your team's work. I'm glad we have you here to report on that. I think the last thing on the agenda is just to ask Aaron if you received any response yet from the mayor's office regarding our most recent communication. Anything to share on that front?
I did send it out again just so everyone knows what we're talking about. It's for 1, 2, 3, 4. It's for 3 kind of like, it's for 4 quarterly events. The budget request for these events is mostly just for like plant material and then party supplies for the Riverside Bark Halloween costume contest. It was for a total of $2,500. And then there was 3 conferences that I could think of: the Rutgers Home Gardening School, the New Jersey Sustainability Summit, and the League of Municipalities for another $1,000. So it was a total of $3,500 was our ask from the city. I did reach out to the mayor's office and I got a response. I'm going to read it, but it's going to require us to kind of come back with like a rebuttal of sorts. So just be warned. But it's not bad. The mayor reviewed our proposal. He thought it was very reasonable. Those words exactly, which I thought was very good. It's under consideration, so it's not been turned down. The mayor specifically has questions for city administration, Michael Drulis. He's going to meet with him separately on the matter. And at some point, I don't know if like Drulis or the mayor is going to have to ask me and you, Charles, like questions about it. They weren't very specific about that. But Drulis at some point should should reach out to us when the money is appropriated. The only thing is, and this is where like our like feedback is needed. My concern, and they thought it was a valid concern, was that the budget approval happens in the summer. The March seed swap, the May citywide cleanup, and the Rutgers Home Garden School happens in March. The New Jersey Sustainability Summit happens in May. So there's a significant number of our asks that happen before the budget's going to be approved. The other thing is that for things like the seed swap and the May event, they're during those times of year when you want to have those type of events because it's best for gardening. Like April is Earth Day, so like you want to do a citywide event that time of year. So it was suggested that we could report back to him if you guys agree that there needs to be something done in the interim before the budget's approved, to kind of give that reasoning to them, so that we would actually be able to get the funding. So it's not a no, it's just we might have to push for it a little bit. So thoughts, feelings.
Can you clarify so just making sure I'm interpreting it correctly, that they could potentially appropriate something for these events that happened prior this year. Okay.
So I think the answer is like yes to the money, but I feel like we still need to kind of like finagle it a little bit to cover the events before the budget is actually appropriated in the summer. I don't really know how that works. I've never done this before. So I feel like it's us. I feel like it's literally like me emailing them back as a group and being like, these are our concerns. Do you have a way to solve that? If you do have specific questions, I'm here. Charles is here to answer them. You know what I mean? City administration can reach out to us at any time. These are the events that are going to happen before the budget is approved. And these are the reasons why, like the conferences don't change dates, but these are the event. This is why the seed swap and the city beautification project need to happen in the spring. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't.
So Erin, my suggestion would be that we respond and thank them for the consideration and that it's still on the agenda. It's still in possibility that we now understand the time frame and that we should request that it be allocated for the next fiscal year, because we'd like to do 4 events a year, every year. And so this could be our submission for 2025 budget. And then justify why these projects should happen this year, and suggest that if there's any way to find funding, that we would urge them to do so. And we now know for next year. and we're putting the request in. That would be my suggestion is,
Can you like
And-
write that, Denise, in the chat and just send it to me? No, I'll try to paraphrase it.
I
That would
have
be
it in Otter. I'll send it to you verbatim from Otter. Yes, I will. I'll send it
I
to you.
think that makes sense, right? Obviously, if understanding that the appropriations have to map onto the fiscal year, so syncing with that, but then asking, is there any flexibility in the meantime? And I wonder, I'm just going to put this out there. If they say, well, maybe a little, but depends. Is there a particular one of the events in the spring prior to July that we would want to prioritize if it was limited? And I think there is the seed swap event and the spring beautification event were the main ones, correct? I mean, the
Mhm.
conferences are another thing, but in terms of events,
Mhm.
Mhm.
those were the two. I'm wondering if there's any feeling about whether to prioritize one or the others of those if it comes to that. I will say the one advantage of the citywide beautification event, Aaron, is that you can leverage some of what you would already have at your disposal through clean communities, right? And so it could be, just
Yeah.
asking for some help to sort of make that a little bigger, right? Yeah. I don't know if any other thoughts about whether to look at prioritizing one of the others for this spring, but still anticipating, as Denise said, having these in the formal request for the next fiscal year. So it would be also spring 2025.
We still might be able to do fall of 2024. Do you know what I mean? It's just
Right.
the
Mhm.
spring that's up in question. So I think
Yep.
that I think the hope for the dog park event happening in October is very high, but
Mhm.
don't count your chickens before they hatch, but I'm hopeful.
I think the
Um,
other thing we could say in the communication is that we will seek in-kind contributions of some of the things that we put in for like the seeds, or we'll look for donations and alternate sources of funding, and we hope that the city will help us with supplemental funding for whatever we can't find. And we might be able to do that through I know Anne from the Environmental Commission has a lot of contacts for things like that. I don't know if maybe Pam Stefanik has something that she's doing with the farmer's market, the farmer's market downtown for the seed swap. Maybe we could look for, like, we should just say that we're also, in my opinion, that we are also looking for other sources so that it's not viewed as our expectation is that the city bear the full cost of this, even though we're willing to roll up our sleeves and do all of the legwork for the events and the activities and the publicizing of them.
So I just have like a question. Is like the seed swap something that we're very interested in doing still? Or are we leaning towards more the beautification project? I'm still happy to lean on both. You know what I mean? I'm happy to look for like donations for the seed swap. There has to be like seed companies out there that might donate. I just want to know the enthusiasm on everybody's part here before.
I could
kind of
speak with Jersey Seed, and I'm sure they'll be able to donate something.
Aaron, I don't know, but if New Brunswick Public Library has this, but other libraries such as Highland Park, Metuchen, they have seeds available in like um, a large locker that you can go in if you want lavender, if you want chamomile, if you want this. So I do know public libraries already work and they have seeds in small manila folders that are readily available for anyone. So I don't know if that's an outlet for you maybe to tap into. And if New Brunswick Public Library doesn't, I think Highland Park does, and I know Metuchen definitely does.
Those are good suggestions.
And in terms of prioritization, Erin, since a lot of this is kind of in your purview, in your day-to-day work, and you probably will be the interface with the city, I would defer to you on which, if you think the beautification projects have a better fit and more opportunity than the seed swap. I pull that one from the list that we prepared. It's not my first priority or my last priority. I just use that as an example.
I'm torn, you know what I mean? I think I'm gonna do the beautification project no matter what, you know what I mean? I think doing it through Zoom will make it better. So like having your support and having more funding from the city to, buy things would be great. I'm torn because I know the seed swap was something that happened for many years. You know what I mean? With the gardeners of New Brunswick. So I don't know if it's like something we just want to wait to revitalize in 2025. You know what I mean? Or if it's something we really want to take on for this year. It was just a really nice community event. I went to a few of them in like 2012, 2013, 2014. It was like 10 years ago now. I think I have enough to go back to the mayor's office. I guess, do people want to like vote on one or the other? I don't want to head both. I only have so much time to stay.
If you feel the need for a vote, I guess we could, Erin, but I think basically what our suggestions have been and how to frame communication. And again, it's pretty much the stuff that's in your purview. So we'll help in any way you think is.
Oh, I'm gonna say the beautification project for now.
I think, yeah, if I had to prioritize, I'd probably stay the same. I think there's in some ways the seed swap is an expression of an infrastructure of gardens and garden management entities. So I think there's also part of our work this we've talked about there's not as much garden management entities anymore, so I think there might be some preliminary work in trying to better connect with them this year that could make any eventual activities centered on gardens a little more successful as well. That's kind of independent of funding, but that I think the beautification, there's a lot that can go into that, obviously, but it's something that kind of people could get excited about, regardless of if they're connected to anything previously.
And maybe the goal for 2024 is not doing a seed swap, but just getting the gardeners back connected with each other. You know what I mean? To build a foundation for something later with Charles.
Hey, can I mention something real quick? This is Josh.
Please.
Regarding the community gardens, so the one that we're connected with, I know that Mark, the paid staff member through Rutgers, is no longer on staff. So I don't know what the future of that, but I'm just concerned about it from our perspective as real residents who utilize it, and then also as a member of this commission to see it going forward without someone who's overseeing it. I agree with Aaron, I think that we should reach out, but in that case, I think it's going to be, we should also reach out expressing concern that, we want to make sure someone is still in that role to oversee that.
That's the one in Recreation Park. Josh.
Who was the person on Rutgers staff that was overseeing it?
Yeah, who was the Rutgers staff?
So his name was Mark. I know him personally, but I know he's not going to be there anymore. That's why I'm
Okay.
And he's
expressing
Rutgers, like, was
concern,
he under like the farmers market? Where was he under?
Farmers market. Yeah.
no.
But there was another
I don't know
person
that.
who worked with him.
Okay, I'm not sure who else it might be then.
And this is the community garden recreation park.
Yes, he also managed the community garden at the farmers market. They were sort of managed together.
Oh, both of them the same? Who's gonna take you at the farmers market one? This was so nice.
So Josh, just to clarify, from your understanding, are they not planning to replace that position with someone else, or is they're gonna just hire someone else? Whatever reason, he won't be there anymore.
I believe it's going to be someone new, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'll follow up and find out for sure.
It's 8 o'clock, so just in the interest of respecting people's time, maybe we can start wrapping up unless there are any final thoughts regarding the beautification or the events, right? But I think Aaron, sounds like you have enough to respond to the mayor's office and administration, and we'll go from there. And sounds like put more emphasis on seeing if we can pull off the beautification, citywide beautification event in the spring, and get things lined up for the fiscal year starting in July as well.
Yeah, just to like put you on the spot, Charles, I would love Esperanza neighborhood project spots for whatever different organizations in charge of like 5 different locations around the order. Make it manageable.
So some people have mentioned, we're getting a little feedback from some account. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I think we are ready to wrap up, I believe. So apologies for any if anyone had trouble hearing. But are there any communications and reports otherwise? Yeah, Denise. You're muted, Denise.
Sorry, guys. This is kind of peripheral. I just wanted to let everyone know, I'm going to put a link in the chat. Rutgers is doing a free municipal community training. I think it's something like 10 weeks. It includes a potential certification. You have to attend at least 5 of the classes to get a green infrastructure champion certification. It's more aligned with the Environmental Commission, but there are some things that I think overlap, like rain gardens and other things that we would want to support. and, you know, talk about green resilience. And we've been talking about, you know, some of the planting and projects. So it's free and it starts I think it starts next week. So if anybody's in, I registered and I'm going to attend and get the certification. So just wanted to let everybody know.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
Any public comments? I believe the only member of the public is Charlie, but if there are any public comments before we wrap up. Okay. If
Hi,
not,
can you hear me okay?
oh, yep, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Charlie Cradaville. I am here as the editor of New Brunswick Today. Just want to be clear. And I have a quick question and a brief comment. Just wanted to ask the last name of the new member.
My last name is Tedesco, Tedesco.
Thank you, Mr. Tedesco. Congratulations on your appointment and wish you
Thank you.
all the best. Wish everyone a very happy new year. And I did want to just give one piece of constructive feedback as somebody who attends and participates in a fair amount of virtual meetings and video conferences. I must say I really do prefer the Zoom platform to this go-to meeting. And I would hope that you know, if you agree with me that we can change that. I don't know what the reason was to go with this in the first place. I know the city used WebEx for a while and then GoToMeeting for a while, but of course Zoom is by far the most popular one, and I do feel like things would go a little more smoothly if we were using that platform. So just a constructive suggestion, but wanted to raise that to you all, and thank you for your work. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time tonight. I hope no one has to go bail water out of their basement now.
Yay. We're getting like a new French drain system. It's costing lots of money, but that's our thing for 2024.
Well, good luck everyone with the rain, and thanks everyone for your time tonight, and look out for emails regarding next steps in Baker Park, and otherwise we'll connect again in February.
Great.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Happy New
And,
Year again.
Thank you.
Sal, thanks for the great work that you're doing in the city.
Yes.
Thank you all for your support.